Hi, welcome back to Trauma, Drama, and Life. I'm your host, Ben Taylor.
And I'm your host, Kayla Taylor.
And we're excited to bring you another episode as we head out for the night and just chat with you along our crazy drive with Florida drivers and wonderful life. So what we've been noticing inside of our life is it does not tend to slow down. It's been one of the things that has been coming up multiple times that we realize we need to slow down, and we want to slow down, and we try to slow down, but somehow we never slow down. It's just this piece that keeps going busier and busier. And with that, oftentimes Kayla will try to remind me that we're supposed to slow down, and I try to remind her that we're supposed to slow down, and sometimes it still doesn't work. So what are your thoughts on slowing down here?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like we plan things and then we don't fully think them through until they're being executed. And then we're like, wow, how did we go from not being busy to being busy? And here we are. And because I was like, after we had Bella, I was like, oh, this is nice, because we weren't really like doing a ton of stuff. And then homeschool started, and then co-op started, and then
you signed Sophia.
I signed Sophia.
10 different things.
And then all of his Saturdays, he's like doing a bunch of stuff like almost every single Saturday. And we're like, what is happening? Like,
so talk about that piece, because that was a piece of just a realization for you, because I think a lot of moms struggle with wanting to do everything, needing to do everything, or else they don't feel like they're doing a good job at doing anything. What's that journey been like for you with second child, homeschooling, and...
Yeah, I think it's hard because homeschooling is a whole different realm for me. I was not homeschooled, Ben was. And so I had different opportunities like within school to do extracurricular things. And so I think as a mom, I'm like, okay, I'm homeschooling, so it's my responsibility to give my child these extracurricular things. And while they're good, I just happen to give her tons of options. And my kid is a very outgoing, social kid. And she's like, I want to do all of them. And then I was like, okay, well, guess we're doing all of them. And then now, like, after being, like, I guess it's 3 months in.
Yeah.
I am now like, okay, we'll finish out this school year, like doing these things, and then we got to pick and choose. Like some things, like we're gonna do like 1 or 2 things max, and because something's got to drop, like because it's
people that have like done stuff with their kids where it's been like they get to choose like one thing for like the season, whatever it might be, like if there's different seasons of things.
Yeah, and so I'm good with like doing 2 different things. So she goes to like an art class, and I'm fine with continuing to do that because that's one less thing that I have to teach her. I love creativity. I love being creative, but I think in this season of life, I just would much rather have somebody teach her like that, or have that be a creative outlet for her elsewhere. And so like that, I don't mind. But then we also have like, she's in dance, she's in cheer, she's in gymnastics, and she wants to try out track. She wants to try out volleyball. And I'm like, okay, we can't add like all of this stuff on.
I think they have volleyball for 5.
They don't, but that's when she gets 7. But it's like you can't
sign her up for like midget volleyball. Like,
you can't have like all of this on your plate, or else, you know, as like a little kid, she's gonna get burnout, and you have to teach her like, hey, you have to also slow down and take time for yourself.
So I guess the moral of the story is we have to learn how to slow down so that our kid isn't burnt out.
Doesn't like burn out herself.
It sounds like she's already learning to be burnt out by everything that we run her through.
Yeah. But I think that she, because I ask her often, because I never want her to feel like she has to continue to do something if she doesn't want to do it. So I do ask her like if she's enjoying,
if she's enjoying classes.
Yes. If she's still enjoying like her art class and her gymnastics and cheer and dance. So I think as of right now, tentatively, I think that she might end up dropping dance. I don't know. She's starting to like it a little bit more, but
by keeping cheer.
But yeah, I would probably have her choose between one of those. And even if we alternate back and forth each year, I just want her to, you know, if she enjoys something, to be able to pursue it and like keep enjoying it besides like being forced to do it. So if she doesn't, then.
So what about this busy piece for us? Like life is super busy. So we had last week, I think it all blends together, right? Last week, I didn't have any appointments on Saturday. So we ended up pretty much just taking the whole day off, went into one of the parks.
It was the week of the hurricane, whatever week that
It was
was.
last week, wasn't it?
I think so. Was that the week that you were supposed to go to council and then didn't because of the hurricane?
Probably. I don't remember. I can't look at my phone because it's recording.
Either last week or the week before. Yeah.
So I think it was last week. It was last Saturday. So
Yeah, not this past Saturday, but last Saturday. I was thinking this past Saturday.
Yeah, that's why I said last Saturday. So anyways, a Saturday in the previous distant past that we recently just went through was a Saturday that I didn't have any appointments, and not having that, we decided to go get breakfast together and then go into one of the parks and just be able to hang out. And it was different. It was unique. Like, what was kind of your take on that? Because I know you had different opinions and thoughts about.
Well, I was going to ask you first.
Are you going to ask me first?
Because I have the flexibility and the freedom to do that versus you in one sense, unless you like block it off in your schedule.
So normally I take appointments on Saturday, but I didn't have any appointments. So it was just a unique piece. I was ahead on a couple things, so I didn't feel, I think the biggest thing is I didn't feel like pressured. I felt like I could go and still not be behind.
Yeah.
I think that's like the piece of it, which just lends to the whole aspect of being busy. But like there's still a piece where I was ahead on different things I've been working on and didn't have any appointments. And initially the whole idea was to go for breakfast and then go in and then be done by like lunchtime kind of a thing, which did not happen. We stayed majority of the day anyways. But I think by that time I was already calculating in my head. I was thinking, well, I already got this done.
A piece of it is we found out that Sophia was tall enough to ride some of the rides that she hasn't ridden. So then we started calculating in those rides.
Yeah, we started being like, well, it's going to be a little bit more of a special day because she grew overnight. She went from 43 inches to 44 inches. Now she could ride a couple rides. So yeah, there was a piece of thinking, okay, this is silly because we could have done it anytime. But we're like, this is monumental because it's the first time. So we were able to do a couple different rides with her that she hadn't done before. So I can see that piece being a part of it. And I think for me, I was also calculating of, okay, if I do this, I have everything done. I don't really need to do X, Y, and Z. So I was able to kind of unplug and be okay with it.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on just us actually unplugging?
Yeah, no, I thought it was like a nice, relaxing day in one sense. I mean, obviously, like it's not like we were like chilling on the couch, but like it just felt nice to be able to do something different because that's not the norm. And typically when we go in, it's in the evenings and then everybody is already starting to get tired for bedtime. And so it just seems to be like a lot, not stressful, but like not as enjoyable as it is if we're able to go during the day, which is a rarity for both of us anymore. And so I think in one sense, like it just felt more chill and relaxed because we went in not really having like a plan. We just were like, we'll just kind of go in and just ride a couple rides. Like really the only thing that we had in mind was like the safari. And then maybe originally you and I were just going to do like rider swap on like Flight of Passage or something like that. But then Sophia was tall enough. But like just like simple things like that. There wasn't like a full agenda. And so it just felt really relaxing and being able just to hang out as like a family. And I was like, wow, this is really nice.
So what's the piece that you brought up to me? You brought up to me about taking time off.
Oh yeah, because you had stacked about it and you said you don't understand like why your mind is like goes into like not freak out mode, but kind of like in a way of like I need to keep working and like having Saturdays open.
It's definitely less of freak out mode now, and that's been because of all of my work with scarcity.
Yeah.
Like just with a mindset, with a thought process, with the like us running into different pieces where I'd made either decisions or had noticed that stuff wasn't working right. And all of a sudden like bank account's like zero and I'm like, there used to be a piece that would always put me into a scarcity mindset. And even recently I've noticed that the thought process has shifted a ton of being able to walk into like really nervous moments of making different decisions and not stress out about it. But I do find a weird thing, and maybe this is almost the aspect of just finding a consistency, or like finding a piece, even kind of like from the ADHD kind of aspect of wanting like this structure. And then when that structure is broken, then I'm like, I don't know what's going on or what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it may be in control of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like that's a piece that I've noticed for me that's been a struggle inside of how do I show up, and how do I show up effectively and efficiently in communicating and being transparent with it, because that's been a piece that's been difficult, because I can sometimes just think I'll just grin and bear it, or I'll just do what I need to do, but internally I'm like freaking out, which then never works out well because I never can hide it good enough, and then it ends up coming out and like freaking out on everybody else at the same time.
Right. But all that is, I had brought up to him, I said, well, what if this is like God's way of like having you want to take, like telling you that it's time to like take an actual day off? Like, because we have Sundays, but Sundays are like just our family day of rest where we go to church and then we do very minimal things, but they still always tend to be busy because we're just preparing for the week ahead. And so I mentioned him having to take a day off.
Yeah. So that's been I don't know where my mind goes with that, but I mean, I try to talk to you like in the kitchen of like talking through that a little bit of the aspect of it's almost like my mind thinks if I take that time off, then maybe someone's not going to book appointment, or maybe I'm not going to connect with who I'm supposed to connect with on that day, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I don't know. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned taking like a different day off besides Saturday, like it.
Right.
So.
But even then, I don't know what's most effective inside of the Saturdays or inside of a weekday or something like that. But something to be able to unplug. And for me, I think it's a piece of getting to where I can unplug and not be stressed about the situation, or not be stressed about what's happening, but I can actually unplug and kind of reset my mindset or my thought process. So like even...
Yeah, because you had said, you had even said in the stack that you felt almost like a sense of like feeling refreshed like the next day. Like you woke up on time, you felt ready to go, you didn't feel like you were dragging, but like you were just like, all right, hit the ground running again after having that like day off.
Yeah, that's true. Because otherwise it's just a constant like non-stop, and I do as a whole really well with that, but I think after a while I get tired.
Yeah, but I think that's hereditary in one sense. Like your mom is that way, you are that way.
Go.
So like, it's just...
Right. That's just a piece of our world and our life. We used to joke growing up that, I remember like we used to joke growing up that like our vacation was like someone's regular busy life.
Yeah.
Because our busy life was like super busy and super hectic and never slowed down or stopped by any means.
Yeah.
So
on vacations with my family, you were like, whoa.
Vacations with your family, I was like, when is this going to end? Like the beach is only so exciting past like 2 hours, and then what do you do with your life for the next 2 weeks? Because you're like dying at the beach, just sitting there.
It's like fabulous though.
Watching sand curl. Like I think there's like nothing happening. So I've gotten better. I'm not.
Yes, you're not like that anymore.
I can last 4 hours now instead of no, I'm just kidding. But I've gotten better at being able to pause, being able to rest. I mean, probably meditation has been the biggest tool in that, of getting used to that, or being able to calm my mind, or being able to slow down. Even that is still a struggle a lot of times. But what other thoughts do you have on this piece of like being busy? We've talked about this some, but like, what else needs to shift inside of our lives with our busyness? Because I think a lot of people get to a place where they get so busy, they're just doing just to do. And I think sometimes we do that. Sometimes we're just in creation mode. I think there's a lot of business stuff that's still growing. The business is still super young of what I'm developing and how I'm connecting with other people. So there's a lot there. But what else do you think needs to shift for us?
Yeah, I think for us, in one sense, like I think it's just we have to create like almost like a routine and schedule to be unbusy in one sense, because both of us,
we're very flexible people.
we're not.
We go with the flow.
We have established in the last few months that we have to structure our spontaneity.
So talk about that for a second. Why can't we just go with the flow? Like, that's what I normally think of.
It doesn't work, because when we both go with the flow, then we just hope that the other person is going to make the decision, and then nobody makes the decision. Or we get upset because we think that we are choosing what the other person wants, when in reality that's not. And it just does not work.
Or my flow is different than your flow.
Yeah.
But because we're in flow mode and chill mode, we don't communicate about what our flow is actually going, because we think we're just flowing with it, and then we both get pissed off because we realize
it's just
we're both flowing the opposite direction.
It does not. We can have we can plan things, and then within that planning there can be some flex and some flow, but we can't just be like, oh, let's just, like, for instance, we did this, we pulled an audible. It was like we pulled up the wait times one Sunday after church.
Sunday after church, yeah.
Pulled up the wait times. Oh, let's just go to Disney. And then as we're sitting there thinking, like, I'm in jeans because we're at church, so I'm not in my bike shorts, or I have no shorts on whatsoever. I'm like, great, I'm going to be hot because it's like at 90 degrees outside. Like, it's like, it was still in the summer. And then something else.
We didn't have fans.
Oh, we didn't have fans for Bella. Thankfully there was a breeze, but still. And then there was something else about Sophia. Like, we thought maybe we didn't have shoes.
She had the meltdown. I asked her to put her shoes on, and it was like a 30-minute ordeal. That I was like, I'm just ready just to drive home.
And so it was just like, everybody was just very much, I mean, even Sophia, she is not a spontaneous person. Like, she likes structure. So you can tell her the plans, but if you try to change that plan, unless you have a very good reason as to why that plan is not happening, there is going to be an absolute meltdown. And it's just because
she came up today and she said, let me play on the iPad. And Kayla's like, no, you can't. And she's like, but you said I could. And Kayla's like, no. And she's like, yes, last night. And Kayla's like, oh, yeah, I did. Because she remembers like every single thing.
Yeah. And so I was like, but the way she worded it, I thought she was meaning today. But then she brought up that I said last night. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so it's just,
very much
she's just very much a structured child. So yeah, it's just,
that's why we use timers. So like, if we didn't use a timer, then it's like, it would be a meltdown a lot of times, getting her off something or stop playing and coming in and take a bath or something like that. But we set a timer, it just triggers something inside of her. So she's probably got ADHD aspects, or maybe we're teaching her that with timers. I don't know, but we're trying to like, once it's teach her how to time block, because otherwise it's going to be difficult for her down the road trying to manage that. So when she has a timer and the timer goes off, then she's like, oh, okay, I'm done. But if there's no timer, then it's like, please, I need more time. I don't know. But it's always like an excuse, you know?
Yeah. Because, I mean, I feel like our ADHD is showing in this, because I feel like we've gone from point A to point B to point C.
Well, we're talking about busyness and then talking about...
But yeah, I mean, I feel like with anybody, like, it's similar for time block for anything. Like, especially, I don't know, it's come out definitely in Sophia's life and in my life. Like, you can just sit there and be doing something. It doesn't even have to be, like, screen time or not. And, like, you'll realize, like, oh, X amount of time has like already passed, and like, oh, like I need to go do this, and I only have this amount of time. So I think just being able to set like a timer for her like really helps.
It helps out.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And I've heard that people also, like, just people in general, set like alarms for things, or timers for themselves of like, okay, I have X amount of minutes to clean the house, so I'm gonna set a timer. When I can get done is when I can get done. And so
I think that's just people with ADHD.
Oh,
maybe not, but that's what I read in the ADHD handbook that I got the other day that I was reading through. But anyways, coming back to the question of busy, like we were touching base on like what needs to shift, what needs to change inside of us showing up less busy. We talked about this piece of not going with the flow, right? But having structured, planned unbusyness time. What would that actually look like? Like if we weren't busy, or if we had this structured time that's like a disconnect time, what would that actually look like?
I don't know, because it's just not something that we have talked about or thought about. So I don't know.
I figured we could figure it out. Like, would that be like structure of saying like, hey, we're going to like chill doing this, or we're going to, here's like the overall plan. Like, what do you think of when you think of us going with the flow but having structure, or when you think of us going with the flow to be able to actually rest and recuperate versus
I think in one sense like we have to almost like schedule it in and say, okay, like on this specific day for this amount of time, we need to actually like physically rest because like we're just tired, or this amount of this day for this specific time, like we can actually like go out and like do something, like either go to the park or just like go out for breakfast or go out to eat as a family, like whatever it may be. But I think that's going to help tame the busyness and the chaos, because there's always stuff that we can be doing. Like there's always a house project, there's always whatever.
just life.
Yeah. And I think that's like, there was like this quote that I heard, and it's like really stuck with me, of like trying to figure out how to like calm the busy but also find structure in the chaos and like the mess and everything.
What was the quote?
It's that like our kids, like our lives are our kids' childhood memories. So like, and like, yes, we are busy constantly, but like how we show up for our kids and how we incorporate like like whether that's family time or whatever is going to be their childhood memories. And so I think that's like something that really stuck with me, of just trying to figure out like, one, like right now we're in the process of like massively decluttering our house. But then through that, once we do get it decluttered and like in a better organizational like toy system, specifically toys, then it's just easier for us to be able to say, okay, we're getting in new stuff, declutter, move on, and it doesn't take us like weeks. It would just take us like a day to do that. And so it's not taking up a ton of our kids' like childhood time, basically, versus like, you know, that there's some days that we just need to all like physically rest, and that could mean like taking a nap or watching a movie on the couch, or, you know, having like a movie night or whatever, something
right.
to that nature, or again just planning times to like go to Disney or go to a park, like, you know, playground park, or have a picnic.
Back into being busy, aren't we?
But I feel like that's like fun busy versus like go and do, like as far as like having to always like go run errands together, because the only time that we have is like Wednesday afternoon at like 2 p.m. or something. I mean, that's definitely not when neither one of us are free, but that's just like a random time.
Right.
Versus like we could take that Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. and be like, okay, let's go to the playground for like an hour or something, you know?
Just being able to break up different times so that we can invest in each other and into our daughters. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Like being able to have just some type of structure, but some type of time to engage with each other, I think is massive. So, I mean, that's what we do every single week, right? We focus on date night, whether that's date in or date out, depending on babysitter. But like the goal is really spend structured time that can be, hey, we have one agenda, we're going to go here, we're going to eat here, something like that. And the rest is kind of going with the flow. So anyways, we'll go with the flow for the rest of the night and see what happens. And we'll get back to you next time and let y'all know. But hopefully this has helped, just sharing a little bit of perspective and you following our rabbit trail approach to what we're trying to share on a day-to-day basis. And if you have any questions or just want to provide some support, just let us know. We'd love to be able to help you inside of growing, healing, changing, developing yourself. But for now, we're going to sign off.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for listening to Trauma, Drama, and Life, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.